What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Revisionist Hip Hop Podcast.
Yeah.
As always, we have the illustrious SL, Mr. Super Lyrical, here
Hello,
with us.
sir.
How you
Hello,
doing?
sir. Hello, sir. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, my man. Doing
Good.
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 I am the other half of Revisionist Hip Hop, CJ.
The infamous one, CJ.
On this episode, we are covering selfishly like one of my favorite artists, top three for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my man, he's been around since '92.
Yep.
Tonight we're gonna cover his fourth studio album,
Mm-hmm.
the one and only Mr. Chiba himself, Redman. We're gonna cover Doc's the Name tonight
Yes,
on
sir.
Revisionist Hip Hop.
Yes, sir. The Funk Doc.
The Funk Doctor, Mr. Def Squad, man.
Yes. Yes.
So this album came out in '99, I believe. '99 actually. It's called Doc's Name 2000,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was certified platinum.
Yep.
This joint when it came out, like and I remember like it had like just bangers, right?
Yep.
Like it came out like what I'll Be That, and like
Right.
Redman always had like the crazy videos and
Yep.
just funny, right? He always had the you can laugh and get some good bars out of him,
Absolutely.
right? So
Absolutely.
we're gonna dig into this album,
Yep.
do like a full scale review, like what our opinions are, what we like, what we don't like,
Mm-hmm.
does it still bang, all that kind of stuff. And Mr. Jax, this came out in '99, my man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I'm not even going to do math right now because I don't know what that was, how long ago that was, but
Well, I'll say this: '99 was the year I graduated finally from college. Summer, well, I guess summer '99 because I took summer classes. So summer '99 is when I officially graduated from college. So I was still. I mean, Redman. Redman's always been one of my favorites. Without question. Which is funny because everybody sort of knows Redman as the weed dude. You know what I mean? And I am distinctly not the weed dude. I've never done it. I've never tried it. I don't do it. I'm just not a weed dude.
right.
So people always did look at me funny, like, you like Redman? And I'm like, the dude is nice, man. Like, he's nice. Like, Redman,
Yes.
he's hilarious. He does
Yes.
great skits, and he's ill, man. Like, that's
Yes.
all I need in terms of hip hop, man. That's all I need. He can smoke all the weed he wants. I don't care.
That's it.
Whatever. You know what I mean?
That's it.
So, whatever. You know what I mean?
I mean,
So that's where I was
like,
coming from with Redman. I was a big fan, so I was excited to see this album come out. Because I think this was the one that came out after the Def Squad album. I think the El Nino album had come out before this. So then this was sort of like a return back to solo Redman. So he was sort of riding a pretty good wave because that El Nino album was pretty dope. And then he kind of goes into this. And then after this, I think the Redman Method Man is after that. I think the Blackout album, right, is after that. So, I mean, he's running. It's quite a little run here that he's hitting the stride on here.
This guy, man, like to your point, he's always funny. He got bars for days. And then when they made that El Nino album, what put them like you and I like have known Redman since he came on the scene with 1992,
right?
Time for Some Action, right? And then like Night's the Night, like he had the big fro and like he's just this rugged dude,
right?
And then he had after that he had There Is a Dark Side,
Yep,
right? And then I believe was it Muddy Waters after that?
I think it was Muddy after that, yeah.
Then El Nino with the Def Squad, and then this album.
Right.
So, and El Nino was dope because that was the time where they had like that tour going on where it was like Def Squad, DMX, and Onyx.
Right. That's right.
And then like Redman was just like this like the gritty rapper because like There's a Dark Side didn't have like it had Rockefeller, I think it was the name or something like that. It was like the big song.
Right.
But remember they did the remake of Hip Hop, Hip It to It, Hip It to Hip Hop.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And that kind of put Def Squad on the map for like a lot of like the mainstream.
Right. Yeah.
Realize who they were then.
Right.
Def Squad's a dope album too, bro. We have to go back and do that one, man.
Yeah, I agree. It's a dope album. Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
but this album, man, like he came in and were there any songs like this time around, man, that you liked? Like, what did you like back then when it came out? Like, did you like everything? Were you like, I really like this song? Because if the singles were what, I'll Be That,
Mhm.
The Goodness,
Yep, the goodness, yeah. That's the
right?
one that I was, like it was cool, but I was, like that felt more like a Busta Rhymes song featuring Redman, more so than a Redman song featuring Busta Rhymes, because it
It's the
was in
beat,
Busta Rhymes' wheelhouse, right? It was like his whole style at that point, it was
right?
the put your hands where my eyes can see kind of vibe,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So, when it comes on, I'm like, it doesn't even fit,
right,
like musically, it didn't feel like it made sense, but that's just
right.
like the purist in me, like, I want
Yeah,
Redman to sound like a Redman record, so that one I was
right.
lukewarm on. But I like I'll Be That. I love that single. Um yeah, the goodness was kind of blah, but there, but like I was saying to you before we started, I love Jersey Yo, and that's mainly because one, I love the Ice Cube Once Upon a Time in the Projects, which is where they got the beat from.
Yeah,
And I just love that he put like
yeah.
a Jersey spin on it, in his hilarious, sort of
Hmm.
style. It's just a perfect song for a Redman
Right,
Redman to cover. It's just great. You know what I mean? Like, so
right.
so that was one of my favorites without a doubt. But actually, and I almost I feel weird saying it, but Let the Monkey Out is the joint. Like, Let the Monkey Out's the jam.
Yeah.
Like, that joint slaps, man. That joint, as soon as the beat
Yo,
drops, I'm like, oh, yep, Redman album. Absolutely a Redman album right now.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, that joint
yeah.
is crazy. Yeah. Um
You know what, too, man? Like
yeah,
the way he sets that up, right? So, like, I know we're gonna go into like what we like now and all that stuff, but
right.
even back when we first heard this album, like
Hmm.
the intro,
Yep.
he talks about how it's all nice in the bricks in the day, and then
Right.
like the mood turns dark, and he like
Yep.
sets up his whole thing about crackheads,
Right.
pushers, this, and
The
then he
monkey,
sets it up with
come
like,
out. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and then it goes right into the boom, boom, boom,
Yep. Oh,
boom, boom,
it's
and he got
great.
the ooh, ooh,
Yep.
like,
Yeah, right. Like, part of me
bro,
was like, should I be laughing?
yeah,
Is this still funny? It's still
yeah,
funny. I don't care what anybody says.
absolutely,
Still funny. Whatever.
absolutely. You can't go full PC culture on it, man. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly. Right. It was what it was, and it was
yeah.
hilarious. Whatever.
You ever you ever picture like you're just envisioning in your mind like Redman in the studio, like I'm gonna make these monkey noises.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I could see him get really high, and he's like, "Yeah, just
Yeah,
record me doing a bunch of monkey sounds." And this joint is going to be called "Let the Monkey Out." And yeah, they were probably like, "What?" And then he did it, and they were like, oh,
right,
"Okay, all right, I got you. Yeah, this is dope. I got you."
right. That joint kind of bangs, man. I can't
You know
even
what I
front,
mean?
man.
Yeah,
Um,
he's yeah.
so I agree with you, man. Like I remember back then, like my thing was I loved Let the Monkeys Out. Like that was my
Yep.
favorite track, when
Yep.
this came out. And I'll be that. I
Mhm.
did love the goodness because it
Okay.
was one of those joints where it was like uh, I just felt like moving. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah,
whole rest of the
that's
album,
true.
your head
Yeah.
nodding, and then all of a sudden this comes on, and you're just like boom, 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 and then like the video for
Right.
that joint, like it just,
The
I
video
love
is
you. Like,
cool, actually. The video is kind of cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's true.
um, but like you like Jersey Yo, and like I'll tell you
Yep.
what, even then,
Hmm.
then I really didn't like the songs that he did with like his boys from Newark,
Right. Yeah, I'm with
right?
you. Yep.
Like
Hmm.
I didn't like it then, and we'll get into our now and how we feel about everything now.
Right.
But I just remember being like vibing like Redman, 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 and then
Hmm.
he had meth on, or was it meth? He had meth on a track,
Yep.
and then but yeah, just the songs where he had like the guys from Newark on there. I was like,
Hmm.
oh, all right, like
Yeah. It was just kind of there. Yeah, yeah. Like, yeah.
yeah,
Right.
wasn't anything crazy, but like Jersey O, and then can we talk about the skits? Can we talk about the
Please.
skits?
Please. Let's discuss.
This dude said the chicken head
The
convention.
million chicken head march.
Yeah, chicken head march, bro. And he got him out here. Ooh, flocka, laka, laka.
It's so wrong. It's so wrong, but it's so hilarious, man. Like the oh, it's just unbelievable. The
Yeah,
that and the the one I forgot. I don't know how I forgot it, but like the satellite van thing, like with the dude,
yeah.
you know, and he goes,
GPS.
"Oh, these look like some nefarious guys in the corner or whatever." And that he's trying, he's trying to buy some weed and uh, yeah, I mean the
Yeah,
empty kid, it's just hilarious. Like like we talked
yeah.
earlier before we started, this whole album is basically just like a love letter to Newark, New Jersey. That's really what it is.
Yes,
And you can
yes,
tell that he had like 100% control over this album because this is all got his fingerprints on it, beginning to end. You know what I mean? Like there's not anybody saying,
yes.
"Oh, you got to do this kind of record or that
Totally.
kind of record." He did exactly what he wanted to do, exactly the skits he wanted to do, and he wanted to tell a crazy Newark story, through an album, and that's exactly what he did. That's exactly what he did.
That's it. That's it. I mean,
Yeah.
all the way up to the end, man, where he did like Brick City Mashing, right? That's like the second to
Yep.
last song on the album, and
Yep.
it's just
Yeah.
this. You're right. The whole thing's just an ode to Brick City, man.
It is 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So so let's get into like standouts, right?
Yeah.
So are there any were there any standout tracks for you that like nowadays,
Yeah.
you're sitting there and you're like, yeah, I really want to talk about this track. This one really hits me hard right now.
I'll tell you what I liked this time around that I know I liked before, but it hit me in particular this time, and that's the joint with Keith Murray and Eric Sermon at Down South Funk. Like that one was
Yeah,
like I was like, wow, this is doper than I remember it being. Like it's pretty dope,
yeah,
man. Like he was like
yeah,
taking it to Atlanta GA on this one or whatever. And yeah, it's
yep,
that joint bangs, man. Like I was like, wow, I don't remember it being this dope, but I really like it this time around. I don't know what it
yeah.
is.
It's you know what, man? It's like well, one, listening to it
Hmm.
when Keith Murray came on, it was like, oh, I forgot all about Keith for this,
Right,
man, and
right.
right.
Yep,
And then like you hear his style and like all like the big old words and all that, and you're like,
right.
yo, Keith was nice. Like
Absolutely. Yes, he was.
it,
Absolutely, man.
so just like yeah, that joint was hard, man. And
Hmm.
the one of the songs for me was I'm just a young man doing grown man ish.
Yep. Yeah,
Like
man. That's a good one. Uh
you
huh.
still got that G funk influence in there with that,
Yes. Yep.
but it's just he's just and like the thing about Redman too, it's not even like he is like a true like storyteller, like a Slick Rick, where he's gonna just like put like
Right.
this complex stories. He's telling you like a story, but like a line here, a line there, but the other was just like bars and just
Just bars, right? Yeah, he's just
bars.
right. Yeah, right.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. Like there's a scatterbrainness to him that you would sort of expect from somebody that smokes the amount of weed that he probably smokes. So it's like he's crazy nice, but he also jumps top topics a lot. Like, and it's just
Yes,
bars at some point. Like, yeah, he'll
yes,
give you right like a little chain of a story, but then there's some just straight bars intermingled with that. So you never get like a
that's
beginning,
it.
middle, and end type of story. You just get a pseudo story and then just bars in between all that. You know what I
Right,
mean? Yeah. So
right.
that's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, and you know what too, man. Like the track that you mentioned was Jersey Yo,
Yep.
and that is one of those songs like you can just visualize just him and
Hmm.
like 50 of his boys
Yep.
just doing his oh
Yep.
oh
Yep.
in the background, and like
Yep.
he's just going in on that beat, and it
Right.
just and like the bass on that thing, like
Hmm.
back then you had like those the subs and the
Absolutely. Oh yeah, I used to bang it out.
right.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
So it's crazy, man, because like and like let's be honest, going into this, we've done a couple of these now. We did like Reasonable Doubt, Public Enemy, Takes a Nation of Millions,
Right.
and then what was the third one? Good God,
Wait. Which one you said?
the
Which one
last
did
one
you
we
say?
did,
The last one was Midnight Marauders.
Midnight Marauders, right?
Yep.
So like those are albums that people like casual hip hop heads would be like, "Oh, those are classics. Yeah, those are.
Right,
Oh yeah,
right,
that's that." But
right.
this joint going into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
This isn't one of like Redman never had that album that the casual fan would be like, "Yeah, that's
Right,
awesome," right?
right. Yep.
So talk to me about like your mindset going into the album. Like, what was your predetermined like 40s-year-old
Mm-hmm.
mindset going in?
I'll be honest, man. I was concerned that I wasn't gonna like it like I did back then. I felt
Yeah,
like I was worried that I was gonna hear like the humor in it and not think it was as funny, or think like, yeah, you can't get away with that now. I don't like it. Like I thought that's where I was
right.
gonna be, and then
Yeah,
I played it, and none of that happened. Like I played it, and I was like, no, this album's dope. It's not.
that's
It's not PC. That's the point. It's Redman.
the
Like,
point.
who wants to listen to a PC Redman? It doesn't even make any. It's an
No,
oxymoron. It doesn't even make any sense, man. It's crazy.
no,
So yeah, like I need
no,
him to say wild stuff on a record because it's Redman. That's what he does.
because
You know
it's
what I mean?
Redman.
It's Redman.
Yes,
I think
yeah,
I
he's
had
a
to
wild
sort of,
boy.
yeah, I had to kind of, like, yeah, I had like a come to Jesus meeting with myself. Like, hold on, man. Like, think about why you like Redman in the first place. Like, he's a wild dude, man.
Yes,
Like he encourages you to say "F
yes,
you, Redman" at live shows. Like, it's a wild dude, man.
yeah.
Like, so if I'm going to listen to him, speaking of that, kind of sidebar for a second, I'm gonna shout out our boy Matt Granels actually for a minute. So back at
Hey,
hey, what up,
damn.
man? What up, Gan? So Tracker Matt. So back at Millersville University, where he attended for a short time, we went to a concert
Mhm.
for like the Black Student Union had like the Spring Fling concert, and Redman was on the bill.
Yeah,
So obviously us being old grizzled fans of Redman, and there's like a lot of younger kids that are in the crowd with us. So we come up and we're like
yeah,
middle of the crowd or whatever, and we start doing the "F you, Redman" to him, like yelling it.
yeah.
And they were like this set of like four dudes in
Right.
front of us. They were horrified. You could tell they were like, "What are they doing?
Yeah,
Why would they?" And I
yeah,
like tapped down on the show. I was like, "Look at these kids, man. They don't know nothing about that, man." They were mad.
yeah.
Like they were mad. Like, how you gonna disrespect Red like that? And then like 2 minutes later, he
Right,
started doing the chant, "Say F you, Red Man." And then you could tell they looked at each other like, "Oh."
right.
I was like, "Yeah, y'all are not fans.
Yeah,
That's the point. Y'all are not. How do you not
right,
know that?
right.
Come on. Yeah, I'll never forget that." But anyway, shout out to
That's
Matt
facts.
Ramos, man. That's real talk right there. Come on, man.
Nah,
It's
bro.
Redman. He's a wild dude, man.
Yeah, I'm
So I
with
had
you,
to kind of, beat myself
bro.
up. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, it's a Redman album. This is what he does. That's why
Yeah,
you like him. So, live
yeah.
live with it. And I was like, "Yeah, you're right. It's dope. It's dope." So,
I mean, look, man. As you get away from your teens, early 20s and stuff,
mhm.
it's easy to forget that person of you, right? That version
Right.
of you,
Yep.
and you. It's good to go back and like do things that remind you, you
Hmm.
know, this was me. This is a part. This is still a part of who you are.
Right. Yep.
Like these songs helped raise us, man. Like think about
100%.
the stuff that we learned about. Like to this day, I still think of when I hear Newark, New Jersey. I'm like, oh, Redman said it's kind of crazy there, bro.
Right, exactly. I think about what
Uh,
Redman would talk about. Right, Brick City,
yeah,
Brick City, crazy man. Yeah,
right.
exactly. Yep.
I'm like, Naughty by Nature used to talk about that. I don't know
Right.
about going there,
Yep.
man.
Right. Like I
You
watch
know?
New Jersey Drive. Yeah, that joint's crazy out
Right,
there. Yeah, exactly.
right.
Exactly
Like,
right.
think about how many cities or boroughs around the country that we're afraid to go to because rappers were like, "Hey, you come here, it may be your
Right.
last time coming."
It might be this might be it. It's like, okay, I'm not going, bro. I'm good. I appreciate the
Yeah,
heads up. You know what I mean?
that's it. That's it. There's
Yeah.
like we went to New York before and
Hmm.
Brooklyn, and we came to the street. We're going to like Junior's Cheesecake or something, and it was like I forget the name of the street, but MOP used
Yeah.
to talk about it all the time. And like basically, if you went on this street, you're a dead
Right.
man. And I remember looking up and I see the street sign, and I'm like, "Yo, we gotta get out of
Yeah,
here."
we got
And,
to go.
yeah, and H's friend was like, "You're in Brooklyn Heights, bro. This is like the rich area. You're fine." But like, I'm like, MOP said,
Right.
you know, and
Exactly,
like
man.
my boy, my boy goes up. He works for like the Devils, the New Jersey Devils, and like they
Okay.
built that facility in Newark,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the Sixers and the Devils owned by the same people, right? So
Right.
they got to do both.
Right.
And he's texting me one day, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just walking around Newark," and I'm like,
He's
"What?
like, what?
Have
Are
you
you
not
good?
heard There Is a Dark Side? Have you not heard what the album? You know, like, what are you doing?"
That's hilarious, man. That's so funny, man. That's so funny. No, that's real though. That's real talk right there, man.
That's a real.
Yeah, man.
That's just real.
We were
It's like
taught that Brick City
but to
was
your
scary. That's it.
yeah,
You know what I
he said
mean?
the monkeys are going to come out. I don't
Right.
want the attack.
That's phenomenal. I love it.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
God, Snoop said so much drama in the LBC. I don't
Right.
want any
So
parts of that. Like,
right,
no,
I'm
no,
good. You know what I mean? I'm cool. Right.
you're good. You good. Yeah, you got
Right.
that. You got
You know
that.
what I mean? Talking about wearing the wrong colors and stuff.
Yeah,
Bro, I'm good, man. Like,
right.
I'm all right. I'm out.
Good.
You ain't got to tell
Yeah,
me twice. I'm good.
right. Right. I don't want any parts of that. So,
Right.
the, but to your point, man, like, I'm glad you brought up the concerts because
Yeah.
I've seen Red. I think I've seen Red 2 or 3 times, and one time was at Millersville.
Oh, okay.
Um, and I went with Gan,
Hmm.
and he was like, he told me before we went about the FU Redman thing.
Right.
He was like, "Yeah, he's gonna do this FU Redman thing. Watch this and
Right.
that." I was like, "What? What? What are you talking about?" And then, sure enough, he comes out and he does it, and
Yep.
because it was Redman and Keith Murray. That was the
Okay.
concert, right? And so
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Keith Murray got like a hockey mask on and all this, but like Redman also was known to stage dive,
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
right?
He does those. Yeah, man. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This dude, like, and like, I wish that like we went to that Def Jam concert tour, where like Red and Meth were
Mhm.
actually the openers for that. How
Yeah.
crazy is that?
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And just because that job just would have been so dope. Like those guys
Oh
bring so
man.
much energy, man. Then like they would fly through the
Absolutely.
air and
Yep.
um, yeah, bro. Like just I
Hmm.
know we're getting off track with like this album in particular, and just like bugging out on Redman, but the man deserves it.
He
You
does. You
know,
got to give him his flowers, man. Absolutely.
that's it,
You know what I
man. And
mean?
like even to this day, my man is still spitting.
Still
Like he's
spitting,
just
still
just
doing wild videos and yeah,
still doing
slapping
wild
people in
videos.
videos and all that.
The guy made a whole song about slapping people, bro.
Yo,
Like, it's just,
that's Red, man. I mean, it's he he's the one. Everybody. It's funny, and we're all guilty of it too. When we always talk about we like to see the growth in our artists, and we like to see them expand.
sure.
Like what their content is, and then it comes to Redman. I'm like, nah, I want Redman to stay exactly the same. I don't want this dude to become
That's it.
existential. I don't need this dude to become an activist. I just
No,
need what I mean? He could do that on
no.
interviews. When I'm talking about Redman records, I want a
Right.
Redman record. You know what I mean? I don't need him to. Yeah, I don't need him to
Yes.
talk about
Yes.
police brutality. I don't need him to talk about Black Lives Matter. He could do that in interviews, and he could let other
Nope.
MCs do that. I want Redman to do what he does, which is
Right.
say wild stuff, talk about weed,
Yes.
and crack jokes and spit bars. That's what I want. That's
That's
it.
it.
That
That's
is
it.
it.
All day.
Yeah.
That guy, and like, and shout out to him too, man, for like his career trajectory. Like he went on to like
Yeah.
do the movie How High,
Right.
um, and then did like they had the whole How High soundtrack, and then all the
Yep.
other albums. Him and Meth with like the Blackout album, the first one.
Yep.
I mean, that's just
Mm,
ridiculous. And then he got
it's
tied in
crazy.
with the whole Wu Tang, and he ended up being featured on a bunch of their albums.
Right. Yep.
So yeah, shout out to this dude, man. And I
Yeah.
even saw like recently I think it was like last year or the year before, he did an album with like some EDM dude.
Oh yeah.
Like yeah, it's called
Wow.
like Electric something. Um,
Wow.
but the brother just why not?
Yeah. Why not? Whatever.
Why not?
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Oh man, yeah. So this dude, I forever will be one of my favorite. But we'll keep
Mhm.
we'll keep we'll keep it moving on this album here,
Yes,
man.
sir. Yes, sir.
Um, so Beat Drop.
Yep.
It's another. just dope song. Feel the
100%.
beat,
Yep.
drop. Like,
Yep. It's great.
come on,
Yep.
man.
The
As
I
a
don't
Beastie
care
Boys fan,
the I don't care joint is dope.
oh
Uh yeah, like that joint's dope. Yeah. There's bangers on this album, man. There's bangers.
yeah,
It's a pretty solid listen, man. It really is.
it is, man. And like, it was fun like going through it this time and like being like, oh shoot, like I don't want to skip this song.
Right.
Oh shoot, this is on this album too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh damn,
Right.
and I feel like to your point earlier, man, I feel like this is the album that Redman found who Redman is,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Like the first album you come out and you're just this raw guy,
Right.
right?
Yep.
And like Redman said on the was it the Nori podcast, was that
Mm-hmm.
Drink Champs?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't realize that he got turned down by Def Jam twice,
Wow.
right? Turned
Twice.
down by Def Jam twice. Yeah, and
That's
he didn't even know.
crazy.
He found out on Nori's podcast.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
right.
Wow.
So let me ask you this: do you think if Redman came out today that he would be what he was? Same music, same everything,
Ooh. Wow. That's an interesting question, man.
right?
I guess it all depends on like if he came out like on a major label, like if he had the exposure now,
Mm,
because now, artists don't really like their exposure's different, but it's not as in your face as like when he was sort of on that in his prime run. Um, so I think it
right,
would depend on that, but I think if he had that, I think it probably would work because I think he's just wild enough. Like it's weird to say, but he's sort of in like the Eminem lane in terms of like
mm,
he'll say whatever he wants, and it's outlandish and crazy and it's hilarious, so that sort of garners like a
right,
wider appeal. So that would probably work now,
yeah,
like, and he also doesn't mind sort of dancing around like the sound of today, and also the sound that
sure,
he pocket that he fits in. So I think because of that, it would probably work. Like if he just dropped for the first time today as opposed to 92,
yeah,
it probably would work. He just wouldn't be, I don't think he would be like the underground sensation that he was then. I think it would push a little more mainstream for whatever mainstream is today. He would probably
right,
push more on that end just because of his content, in the weed, and now it'd be a weird, because weed's legal in so many places. So, he would
sure,
sort of fall right into that, you know what I mean? Like it's sort of why Snoop is still relevant, today. Like it's
right,
like the same sort of
right,
vibe. So
right,
he was sort of fall into that, and I think to that point he would probably be on more shows. Like he would probably do more television and he would probably do a
sure,
podcast and so you would hear him on a
right.
lot of different platforms. You know what I mean, as opposed to back then. So yeah, I think what he does would probably work. Yeah, if he dropped like in 2021.
I think that I feel like nowadays artists have to have more than just their music. For most artists, I would say like
Yeah.
certain people like Kendrick and Cole and like that genre of hip hop,
Right.
they literally just do music and then like that's it,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And they're successful because of just their thing.
Right.
I think part of that's the mystique of not being on social media like that. So like
Yep.
people are always like it's like old school celebrities where you just didn't see them 24/7,
Right. Right.
right? Redman, I feel like today Redman would be an underground sensation.
Okay.
Reason being is because of the culture that he's a part of, right? So like, yes,
That's fair.
weed is legal, is getting legalized and all this and that,
Right.
but he's not like a he's not like a controversial guy like a Takashi,
Right. Right.
right?
Yep.
But Redman has skills. Takashi doesn't have skills.
Correct.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Takashi has to create this drama in order to survive
Right.
the relevancy.
Right.
Um, but I feel like there's such a like for his style and for who he is, there's such like a subculture out there
Mm.
that would like everybody that loves I don't know why fish comes to my mind, but
Huh.
you
That's
know,
not a bad analogy though.
you know what
That's
I'm
not
saying?
bad.
Like
Yeah.
that crowd to like the hip hop head crowds, like the underground hip hop heads that, we would see in ciphers,
Hmm.
and not the people that you're going to find on like the front page of Apple Music, right? Like the
That's
ones
fair.
you have to go to like Hip Hop DX or like allhiphop.com to realize like, oh shoot, they had an album that came out,
Right. That's a
like a
good point.
Sean Price, right?
Yeah.
So I think that like Red would be uh, an underground, like a legend,
Hmm.
but like right below mainstream because he never even get radio play.
Yeah. Right. True.
He's not gonna get radio play,
Right.
and he can like, but I think that he would be heard, and I think that he would do well.
Hmm.
I just even for like artists nowadays, I feel like there's just so many people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe he wouldn't get platinum. He'd probably get
Hmm.
gold nowadays. Whatever. I guess that's 500,000 streams. I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Right.
Yep.
But that's where like where my thought goes with Red
Hmm.
for nowadays. But I to your point, I think that he would be able to adapt to any situation that he's in.
Right. Yeah. Hmm.
The beats of
And
today, the beats of,
still be Redman.
and
You know.
still be Redman.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't see him putting on like a with like the synthesizer, the auto tune on his voice, and
Right. Nope.
I don't see him mumbling. You know,
Nope. At all.
no.
At all. Hmm.
So yeah, man, like he's yeah, I could see I see that path for him
Yeah.
nowadays. But
I'm with that.
um, yeah, and I'll have to get that album. I'll have to text you that album too, man, of like the electrical thing to see like what your thoughts are on it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to check that out. Yeah. That sounds wild.
Were there any, and this is going to be interesting to see like what your answer is on this, but like because of what we spoke about on previous albums, but like were there any bars that stood out to you in particular?
Wow. I was actually trying to think about that too. I mean, there, yeah, I mean, there are some bars. Uh, I mean, but in general, I think for me, I guess I wasn't listening per se for stuff that really hit me in the head. I think I was just
Right.
sort of listening just for the Redman vibe overall, just because of how long it's
Yeah.
been since I've listened to this album. So
Yeah.
that's really what caught my attention, just the vibe of him and just him being nice and hilarious, which is not exactly the easiest combo to have. Like, there's a lot of MCs that are
Right.
nice. There's a lot of MCs that are funny. There's not a lot of MCs that are nice and can be funny at the same time. That's that
That's
there's a
facts.
certain
That's
skill.
facts.
That's an elite skill, man, and he has that. He's always had it.
Right.
I think when he came out, he was like raw. Like when he first came out, but then like that what the album, then you started hearing the humor in him. I'm like, okay, he got jokes too. Okay, there even some skits there, and then you
Yes.
started to learn who real Redman really was. And then you're right. This album is like his whole voice is like this is all me. Like this isn't like I'm under EPMD's
Right.
tutelage. You know what I mean? Like this is me. This is
Right.
fourth album in. I'm a vet. This is me. And welcome to Jersey. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
that's what this
Yep.
album is. So I think just the whole vibe of it. But I mean, if I listen to it again, I'm sure there'd be some bars that in particular would catch me. I mean, there is like the humor about like the Jersey, that's the one I get stuck on because it's just great. He's just
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
just it's just vintage Redman and talk about how high he is and stuff
Right.
he's forgetting to do and it's just dope, man. He's just
Right.
ill. No, he's just ill.
I think like I'm with you on that, man. And it's crazy because I feel like we're agreeing on like most everything,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
With like
right.
all the pods, but like it's he he has so many punchlines. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like
Yep.
he has so many just like form a line, jack you, then pawn the shine, stand there with more kids than daycare. Let the shots out that ain't nothing. Prove there ain't nothing but weight here. Like
Right. Yep.
it's just bars, bro.
Just
Like it's
bars,
just
man. Yeah. He's just spitting
right,
bars.
right. So
Yeah.
like if we go through like the albums, and it's interesting now, like going back through these albums that we're doing, where all right, so like the first Jay Z album we did, first album we did was Reasonable Doubt, and like that's
Right.
Jay Z's kind of introduction
Hmm.
and telling you what he's doing, right? He's moving weight, but he's like the slick player guy.
Right.
And then like the second one is Takes the Nation of Millions, where it's like fight the power, like we're here, kicking in the
Right.
door, the enemy, revolutionize, right? And then you
Yep.
have Midnight Marauders, where they still touched on the social um, construct of things, but
Right.
then they took like the jazz influence, but that was their thing. So now when we're going into this one, he's just talking about his hometown, and
Hmm.
so is Tribe too.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Like back then, I never put two and two together that like there's a theme for each album.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like listening to this now, like to your point, man, it's he's talking about Newark throughout this entire thing.
The whole thing. Yeah.
Starts off talking about the brick city, beautiful girls in the summer, all this stuff,
Right.
into the
Cookouts,
brick
all
city
that. Right.
mash. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And it's just like, oh man, like these artists, and you know you're an artist, but like these artists really went into these albums with like, this is my theme for this.
Right. Yep.
Right. So like
Absolutely.
as an artist yourself, man, is there like when you're starting to create your music, is there, do you think like that? Is that like a thing that artists do?
Yeah, I think it factors in. Like for me, I always let like things I go through in life sort of dictate, what the feel of the album's going to be. So, like for example, um, so our group's second album, On Purpose, so that came out in
Mm-hmm.
'09. So we in the process of recording that, my dad passed away. Well, he got sick, passed away,
Mm-hmm.
and my mom started, was on the very beginning of dementia. So, so all that was sort of swirling around me, at the same time. So I sort of allowed that,
Mm-hmm.
because even on the album, like there's a song where I talk about, my dad and his failing health, but then, in the process of making that album, he passed away. So then there's also a song, dedicated to his memory. So, and I wanted
Mm-hmm.
that to sort of stay the way it was because I wanted people to sort of see like this is what like you're with me on this path. And part of that path was watching my dad get
Yeah.
ill, and part of it was watching him pass, and me talking about both.
Yeah.
So, not to get too, I know it's
Yeah.
weird because it's a Redman album and we're talking really heavy, but anyway, but that's,
That's wild.
usually,
Take us
yeah,
through the journey, bro.
yeah, I mean that's I usually let life sort of dictate, where I'm at, like on a record. So like if something's going, if I feel that certain way, I'll say okay, that's the mindset I want to be in, and then that sort of forms the concept for
Mm-hmm.
me. Whereas like the Persistence album, which was my first solo album, produced by Sean Carter, shout out to South Hill.
Mm-hmm.
That one was sort
Yeah.
of me sort of coming out from the darkness, so to speak. So, my mom is like
Mm-hmm.
in the throes of dementia. It's getting worse. Like me as a person, I feel like I'm getting better. Like mentally, physically at the time, the whole 9 yards. I had met my soon to be wife. We had been dating at that, a few years by that point, because that album came out in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
So, so there's a mix of,
Mm-hmm.
like fighting back. Like, there's a song called Rise where you're sort of, you're dealing with things and you feel like you're not going to get up,
Mm-hmm.
but you got to get up because, you got people that are watching you and look up to you
Right.
and things like that. And then there's like the finding the My
Yep.
Sunshine joint where, like this is me, like, saying
Yeah.
I'm pushing the clouds away, like, I'm swinging for the fences now, like let's go type of thing. So, it all depends on,
Yeah.
and sorry, that was on, sorry, that mixing that up. That was actually on the digital throwback album, the My Sunshine joint. But so those albums sort of,
Mm-hmm.
because one was 2010 and one was 2011. So there was like that, like I was trying to do like a walk uphill as opposed to, being down in the dumps. Like, you sort of heard me being down in the dumps,
Right.
but there was an incline to it. So that was sort of my mindset going into both of those. So yeah, yeah, you think about
That
that
makes
as
sense
an
though,
artist.
man.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it makes sense. So like you're just kind of no, I was saying that makes sense because you're just kind of like, all right, whatever stage of life I'm in at this point is what
Hmm.
I'm going to talk about because that's what I know, right?
Right. Yep.
So I guess for what you were going through, and I guess
Mhm.
at this point in time, like '98, probably when Red was working on this, and then released in
Mhm.
'99
Right.
at some point, like he was in the bricks, right? I
Yeah.
mean, he was just
Right.
doing his thing, just like writing about his neighborhood, made songs that all his friends would want to hear.
Right.
And let's not forget the infamous MTV Cribs.
I mean, the greatest MTV Cribs of all time. All
Like,
time.
my man came to the door with like had the two wires and try to ring the doorbell. Like he just was like the house was just empty, just Red Man.
It's incredible. It was an
Yeah,
incredible episode.
it
Incredible.
just yeah, like it just pure insanity. But like because
Yep.
every other house was like this big cathedral. Like Master P had like gold everything. You know what I
Right.
mean? And
Yep.
here's Red Man like, oh, here I am.
Here I am.
Little dinky house, man. Don't sit in the
Right.
chair right there. I got my cousin over here knocked out on the floor. You know?
Yo, the greatest one ever. It'll never be beat. It's the greatest one of
No,
all time. Unbelievable.
no. um,
It's funny.
yeah, I forget what the hell we were talking about before that. Oh, just like where they were in life and
Right.
everything.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I'm with you, man. Like as far as like the bars go, and I don't know if I said this before. Please stop me if I
Mm-hmm.
did. But
Mm-hmm.
when listening to this album, there aren't any like bars per se that stand out. It's really
Yeah.
just like the overall energy of Redman.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
just listening to it. Like no matter if we listen to it as like a critic or just listen to it as just like a fan,
Mm-hmm.
it's just a vibe, man.
Yeah.
And I will say, man, like, and I'm gonna ask you this too, man. It's just like this time around, the songs with
Mm-hmm.
his boys from Newark, it still didn't hit for me.
I'm with you, man. Like we already talked about the goodness joint because you were a fan of that one. I didn't love that one, and I
Yeah,
didn't love that one. Like I think I liked it a little more than I did then, but I was like, yeah, I'm
yeah,
good. But yeah, particularly the joint, yeah, like with Young Z and yeah, like the Outsiders and all that, and yeah, it just didn't.
yeah,
I mean, I get you put your people on, do a record with them. That's for them. I'm good.
sure.
It didn't really do much for me.
So, can we talk about this? And you, as a creator, please
Yes,
chime
sir.
in.
Yes,
The
sir.
brilliance of continuing the Superman Lover series
Yes.
from album one
Yes.
through album four,
Yes.
right?
It's
Like
amazing.
this dude, it's amazing. It's
Yep.
amazing. Like it's, you know what? I'm gonna blame. I'm gonna say that R. Kelly stole the Trapped in the Closet series idea from Redman. I'm
I
going
think
for it.
I think you're probably right. I think Redman stole the Superman lover idea, or at least continuing the story from the Jane concept with EPMD. So I think he took the Jane
Ah,
thing and he was like, "Yeah, that's what I need. I need something that I can do and continue the story on." And Superman lover was it
yes,
for him. And it's amazing that
yeah.
he did that. And yeah, you talk about a lost art. I mean,
He's
literally nobody on earth is doing that anymore. Um, but there's
nah,
absolute brilliance in that. Like to be able to incorporate that in every album and it makes sense every time is amazing. 100%.
yeah. I mean, like looking at the lyrics for even this version of Superman Lover, and this is the fourth. Well, actually, I think was it his first album or second album. He had like two Superman Lover songs on there,
That's true, right? Yeah, right. Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So this one, like Red ain't afraid to be like self-deprecating either, man. Like
Right.
he's
Yep.
on this on this joint, he says like, I'm usually flying through the mother effing air, but the utility belt on my underwear needs repairs. So I'll be in the back of the bus unwrapping a Dutch. Left court for child support, be attacking my bucks. Wow. like, that brother's going through it, man.
Yeah, right. Like he's the most ghettoest, hoodest Superman in history. It's
Yeah.
incredible. It's great. I love it.
I, I, I wish like the brilliance of his brain would have made a continuous video series
Yes,
of
right.
Superman lover songs.
Yeah, would have made a great cartoon. That's for sure. Like an adult cartoon. Yeah,
Yes.
I would watch. Yeah,
Yes.
that would man. That would be amazing. That'd be like Boondocks level dope right there. That would
Oh,
be crazy.
straight up. Shout out to
Yeah, the
Boondocks,
thing is,
man.
shout out to Boondocks, man. Real talk. But yeah, that's if he had taken that and made that a full blown, episodic piece, come on, man.
Yeah,
It's phenomenal. Phenomenal.
right, right. It's
You know?
yeah, man. So I agree with that, man. Like the dude's just a beast. He's just a
Yep.
beast with it. And so I'll ask you the $1 million question:
Yes, sir.
does this album still hit for you?
The answer is yes, sir. It
Yeah,
definitely It definitely hits. For me, it stands the test of time. I don't know about other hip hop listeners. If they listen to it 20 years later and feel the same way, maybe they feel like they're kind of past that sort of humor and style that Redman brings. Clearly, I am not.
yeah.
So I'm with it.
Respect.
I'm with it 100%. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
Redman's dope and he always will be dope to me. And I don't care what anybody says. It's just the way it is. He's just
facts,
ill. You know what I mean? Seriously.
facts.
Yep.
And I feel like for Redman, it's not even. So we briefly touched on this last time, or maybe it was off of the pod, but
Mm-hmm.
there's like I always felt like Red had bars. I
Mm-hmm.
I felt like he lacked on like a couple other albums. Like on for
Mm-hmm.
some of them was just like the beats didn't match his energy.
Yeah, I get you.
Right?
Yep.
So like on this album, to your point, like you could tell this was Redman. I felt
Mm-hmm.
like every beat matched the energy that he
Agreed.
brought.
Yep.
You know,
I agree. Yeah.
um, and look, all love for Eric Sermon, all love for him,
Mm-hmm.
but like thinking of Muddy Waters just off the top of the head and without going back and listening to it,
Yeah.
um, there were just some beats that were just like very like basic, doom, doom,
Right.
doom, doom,
Yep.
and Red's energy is always here,
Right.
right?
Yep.
And
Mm-hmm.
you can't just have this chill beat. So this
Right.
album brought the heat. It was complete, like still not really feeling the tracks with his boys on there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and to be honest with you, I even found myself I skipped those tracks. Like I got into it, and like a minute and a half
Yeah.
in, I was just like, "That just
Yep.
ain't it.
Yeah.
This
I
ain't it."
skipped. Yeah. I did that like second listen around. I skipped them. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
yeah, because you just
Yep.
kind of know, man. And
Right.
I, and to have an album, the skits, like you're not like you're entertained the entire album.
The entire album. Right.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
You
And
know what
it's
I mean?
funny, you know.
Yes. Yep.
I don't know if it was this album or not, but he had the one album where it's like called like the skit was like Ix for Foe. It's like some ninjas in Newark and like
Right.
or
Yep.
Nas. Like, I'm knocking
Yep.
somebody right the
Right.
F out. You
Yeah.
know what
Extra fun. It's
I mean?
ridiculous. It's
You know what I mean?
ridiculous.
It just yeah, man. It's just so dope and
Yeah.
like I'm still a big fan of the goodness. I'll be that is the joint. Let the monkeys out is
Ugh,
the banger.
it is the banger. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, even like and to you, I totally agree with you too. Like on the goodness with
Hmm.
it is more of like catered towards Busta because of the
Right.
style of beat.
Yep.
Even the way that Busta comes on, and he rises like Pippi Le Pew. I ain't messing with you. I'm just
Right.
like
Yep.
it's Busta.
It's Buster. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But but I love that joint. I love it, man. Like I
All
may
right.
just bang that thing in the car tomorrow. But
Yeah, I
but
will not bang that in the car. So there we go. So there's something we do not agree on. I'm not a fan of that joint, and yeah, that one got a couple skips for me. So
yeah,
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 respect,
I couldn't
respect.
do that one. Couldn't do it. You know.
But yeah, so this joint definitely gets the stamp of approval, man.
Yeah.
Uh, it's still a banger, and look, unexpectedly a banger,
Yeah.
right? Unexpectedly still flows.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
so we'll see, man. But any final words from you? Any final words about the album that you want the people to know?
Well, yeah, just it's a dope album. If if you're not a Redman fan or you don't know much about Redman, I'm not sure why you'd be listening to this podcast. But if you happen to not like Redman or know nothing about him, this going back to his discography would be highly recommended and definitely listening to Doc's Name. Yeah, it's definitely worth your time.
Mm,
Red's dope. He talks about what you think he talks about. He talks about weed. He talks about Newark. He cracks a lot of
mm-hmm,
jokes, and he got bars.
mm-hmm.
That's Redman, and
Yes,
that's the recipe
yeah,
for Redman. There doesn't need to be anything else. Nobody
Yeah,
needs him to be anything else but Redman. So that's what you see
that's
is what you
it.
get. So and I love him for it.
Yes.
He can please never change, Redman. Reggie Noble,
Right.
never change, Reggie, never. So yeah, so that's it. That's my
Facts.
last thoughts on that. What about
Facts.
you, sir?
Um, yeah, man, I'm with you. Like, I hope Red never changes, man. Like, he's just that same guy. And like, I, like if you were to tell somebody, if you were to introduce somebody to Redman, I think this is the album to give them,
Okay, yeah,
to say, listen to this guy, man. Like, just
hmm
witty bars,
yep,
the catchy lines, the construction of the album from
yep,
front to back, the
hmm
introduction of Newark to telling you about Newark.
yep,
Um, yeah, talks about weed. I gotta tell you though, like, he didn't, like, on parts of this album. I say, like,
hmm
I expected myself in the 40s now, like, thinking I was gonna hear, like, every other line would be like weed, 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 weed.
right, right. It's
But it
not that.
wasn't.
No,
No. I was like, oh, of course he has it mixed in because that's Red.
yeah,
But I was like, oh man, like my man he's just killing it.
yep,
So if I were to introduce somebody to Redman, this is the album that I'll give them. Tell them to take a few listens, digest everything,
hmm
and then come back, and then you can start going into other stuff. So
yep,
yeah, definitely one of the favorites, man. And
yeah,
yeah, this joint, and to your what you're saying earlier, and you know, it reminds you of why you loved Redman coming up,
absolutely,
right?
absolutely,
It's
yep,
easy to get away with everything now. We have everything's fighting for your ear nowadays. We got podcasts and
sure,
talk radio, whatever.
right. Audio
This is why
books,
you never,
everything, right? Yeah.
yeah.
hmm
So, with that being said, we appreciate y'all listening to the pod.
Yes, sir.
Stay tuned for next week. Excuse me. Had some cookies and crackers and stuff. But well, look, we can't. I mean, we gotta be a little bit dirty on a Redman podcast. So
Exactly right. It's got to be a little rough. You know what I mean?
that's it.
Exactly.
So, thank y'all for
So
listening.
wait, CJ, wait. Tell them where they can find us, bruh.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
son.
right. Social media.
Yes,
Uh,
sir. Gotta.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram. Okay, go ahead, bro.
Instagram at revisionist hip hop. Did I get that right? That's right, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And YouTube.
You YouTube, same thing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, YouTube revisionist hip hop. Trying to keep it
Revisionist.
nice and clean for y'all, so you don't have to think much. All you have to do is revisionist hip hop, Google it, boom, and you got us.
That's
You know what I mean?
it.
Multiple
That's
platforms.
it. That's
So
it.
yeah, and also, so you can also catch me on Instagram at slug610. You can catch my man on Instagram at
CJ Wither.
there you go. And and then just stay tuned and we'll cook up another one for you. We're not gonna tell you what's gonna be because maybe we don't know or maybe we do. So, hopefully y'all get to enjoy it, whatever it might be, Anyway, I'll defer to the host. Close it out.
All right, y'all. We much appreciate it. Thank you for that, SL. Much appreciate everybody. We hope you enjoyed it. Please leave us comments. Let us know what you like, what you don't
Yep.
like. We are here for critiques. We're just trying to get better. We're just doing something that we truly love.
Yep.
We love talking about music. If you love
Yep.
talking about the artistry of it,
Yes.
beats, rhymes, and life of
Yep.
hip hop, please let us know what's going on, man. Write to us. All
Yes,
right.
sir.
Until then, peace.
Peace.